In a summer filled with change, a young man discovers the profound beauty of connection when he finds himself irresistibly drawn to his best friend's mother and her sister, igniting a journey of growth, vulnerability, and unexpected love. The sun hung lazily in the late afternoon sky, casting golden hues across the backyard where I had spent countless summers with my best friend, Jason. The familiar laughter and chatter of his family filled the air, but today felt different. As I sat at the edge of the gathering, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was an outsider looking in. I had grown up a bit over the past year, starting college, dealing with my own insecurities, and finally feeling like I was coming into my own. Jason's mom, Claire, a stunning woman in her early 40s, was always the heart of their gatherings. Her laughter was warm, her smile inviting, but there was an underlying grace in the way she carried herself, a quiet strength that drew me in. She wore a light linen dress that danced gently with the breeze, accentuating her figure while maintaining a touch of elegance. Her dark hair was pulled back in a loose bun, stray strands framing her face softly. That day, she approached me with a knowing smile and a sparkle in her eye. "You've changed, haven't you?" she said, her voice smooth and melodic, laden with a hint of curiosity. I felt the heat rise to my cheeks as I nodded, a mix of pride and unease churning inside me. It was as if she could see right through me, touching on the very essence of my transformation. The light-hearted banter among the adults carried on, but my attention was split. I couldn't help but notice Claire's sister, Emily, who had just arrived. She was a few years younger than Claire, but radiated the same effortless charm. Emily caught my eye, grinning as she joined the conversation, her laughter vibrant and infectious. I felt a strange mix of attraction to both women, each embodying a different shade of maturity and warmth. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the yard, I sensed an unspoken bond forming between us. It was subtle, a lingering gaze here, a shared smile there. There was a tension in the air, thick with the promise of something deeper. Yet both Claire and Emily embodied an air of respect that kept me at a distance. I was left to ponder the implications of my growing feelings. Was I merely infatuated with the idea of forbidden attraction, or was there a genuine connection waiting to be explored? Days turned into weeks, and as summer rolled on, I found myself drawn back to that backyard more often than not. Each time, my heart raced at the thought of seeing Claire and Emily. Our interactions began to evolve subtly. Claire would casually touch my arm when she spoke, her fingers lingering just a moment longer than necessary, and I could feel the warmth of her presence enveloping me like a comforting blanket. One afternoon, while the others were engaged in a game of cornhole, I found myself alone with Claire on the patio. The sound of laughter faded away, leaving us in an intimate bubble under the afternoon sun. She turned to me with that same smile that had ignited my curiosity weeks ago. "It's nice to see you again. You seem more confident," she mentioned, her voice soft yet inviting. I smiled nervously, my heart thrumming in my chest. "Thanks, I've been working on myself," I replied, feeling vulnerable yet supported under her gaze. There was something electrifying about this moment, a rare opportunity to connect beyond the surface. I could see the flicker of interest in her eyes, a mirror to my own burgeoning feelings. As we talked, I discovered more about her dreams, her fears, and the challenges she faced as a single mother. There was an honesty in her voice that made me want to lean in closer, to bridge the gap between us. Her stories were laced with a quiet vulnerability, her laughter punctuated with a hint of nostalgia. In that moment, I realized that beneath her confident facade laid layers of emotion I had barely scratched the surface of. When Jason's sister Emily joined us, breaking the spell with her bubbly energy, I felt a pang of disappointment. Yet, as she effortlessly shifted our conversation into lighter territory, I found myself laughing and enjoying the dynamics of the three of us. Claire's hand brushed against mine, a fleeting touch that sent shivers down my spine. It was a moment etched in my memory, one that I longed to revisit. As the summer deepened, the connection between Claire, Emily, and me intensified. Each gathering came with an unspoken promise that hovered in the air like the sweet scent of blooming flowers. One evening, we planned a small barbecue at Jason's house, and as I prepared, I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. When Claire arrived, she wore a light sundress that flattered her figure, and I felt the weight of my gaze resting on her as she greeted everyone. Emily was by her side, her laughter ringing out, yet I found myself drawn more to Claire, who moved with a grace that made my heart race. During dinner, our knees brushed against each other under the table, and I could hardly concentrate on the conversations swirling around me. After the meal, we migrated to the backyard. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of purple and orange. As I moved closer to Claire on the patio, I felt a magnetic pull, both thrilling and terrifying. There was a moment when I caught her gaze, and for a heartbeat, everything else disappeared. I wanted to reach out and hold her hand, to bridge the growing distance between us, but hesitation held me back, fear of crossing an invisible line. Emily, ever the light-hearted spirit, cracked jokes and pulled us into a spirited game of charades. Yet, as I watched Claire laugh and cheer alongside her sister, I felt a pang of jealousy mixed with admiration. I was conflicted, torn between wanting to protect this fragile connection and the fear of ruining it altogether. Later that night, as the stars dotted the sky, I found myself sitting on the porch with Claire. She leaned against the railing, her profile bathed in moonlight, and I could see the soft lines of her face illuminated. We were both quiet, the weight of unspoken words filling the space between us. Her hand brushed against mine again, and this time, I didn't pull away. The air crackled with anticipation, and I could feel my pulse quickening with every passing second. "Sometimes I wonder if we're too different," she finally said, her voice thoughtful. "But then I see how much you've grown, and I can't help but feel proud." Her words resonated deeply within me, stirring emotions I had never acknowledged. I wanted to tell her how much she meant to me, how I admired her strength, but the fear of her reaction loomed in the back of my mind, holding me back from that leap into vulnerability. As summer days turned into warm evenings, I found myself caught in the whirlwind of my feelings for Claire. I had come to cherish our quiet moments together, but I also grappled with the societal perceptions surrounding our age difference. My heart was pulled in different directions. Part of me wanted to explore the bond we were nurturing, while the other part feared the consequences of our connection. During one particularly warm evening, Jason invited friends over for a gathering. Claire and Emily were present, and the atmosphere buzzed with laughter and music. I felt the tension rise as I watched Claire engage with everyone, her effortless charm lighting up the room. Yet, as the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that my feelings were somehow inappropriate. I watched as she moved about, laughing with friends, and my heart ached with unspoken desire. What if she saw me as just another young man? The thought gnawed at me, and I found myself feeling distant, retreating to the sidelines where I could observe rather than participate. In a moment of vulnerability, while the party swirled around us, Claire approached me. "You've been so quiet tonight. Is everything okay?" Her voice was tender, laden with concern. I hesitated, struggling to find the right words. "Yeah, just thinking," I replied, forcing a smile. "About," she pressed gently, her eyes locked onto mine, searching for honesty. I gulped, feeling the weight of her gaze. "About how hard it is to balance everything," I admitted finally. "It's like I'm still figuring out who I am, and sometimes I feel like I want to hide instead of stand out." She nodded, her expression softening. "I understand that. Life can be overwhelming." There was a moment, heavy with emotion, as she reached out and brushed my forearm lightly with her fingers. Her touch was electric, igniting a flame inside me that I didn't know I could feel. I could see the flicker of understanding pass between us, yet the uncertainty of our age gap loomed large. Despite the connection, I could sense the tension hanging in the air. I struggled with myself. What would it mean to pursue a relationship with her? Friends would question me. What would Jason think? I felt caught between desire and societal expectations, an emotional tug-of-war that left me with more questions than answers. Yet, as the night continued and laughter echoed around us, I couldn't ignore the warmth blossoming in my chest. I wanted to reach out, to let her know how deeply I felt, but the fear of vulnerability held me captive, and I settled into that familiar ache of longing. Days passed, and the summer sun began to shift towards cooler evenings, a reminder that time was fleeting. I found myself increasingly drawn to Claire and Emily, the bond we shared deepening with each gathering. However, the conflict within me grew as well. One Friday evening, Jason invited me over for a casual hangout. Claire and Emily were both there, and the energy was electric, charged with a sense of expectancy that hummed beneath our conversations. As the sun dipped low, its warm glow bathed the backyard in a soft light. I watched as Claire played a game of cards with friends, her laughter ringing out like music to my ears. As the evening wore on, I noticed the space between Claire and me shrinking. At one point, while jokingly fighting for a seat on the porch swing, our bodies brushed against each other, and the moment felt suspended in time. I turned to her, the tension palpable, and for a heartbeat, our eyes locked. I could feel the heat radiating between us, a silent understanding that we were both teetering on the edge of something significant. Just as I thought I might lean in closer, Jason's voice broke the moment, pulling me back into the group. I felt a mix of frustration and longing, the urge to protect this budding connection overwhelming. Later that night, as the stars twinkled above, I wandered off to gather my thoughts, wrestling with the emotions swirling inside me. As I stepped away from the noise, I found Claire leaning against the side of the house, looking contemplative. The sight of her took my breath away. I hesitated for a moment before approaching, each step filled with a mix of anticipation and terror. "Hey," I said softly, cautious of the weight in the air. "Hi," she replied, her tone inviting yet edged with vulnerability. "I've been meaning to talk to you." My heart raced. Could this be the moment where we finally broke the barrier that had been holding us both back? "I feel like there's something between us," she continued, her voice barely above a whisper. I could see the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes as she spoke. But sometimes I wonder if it's just wishful thinking. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding wildly. "I feel it too," I confessed, my words tumbling out in a rush. "But I'm scared. Scared of what it could mean, how people might react." There was a pause as our gazes locked, the world around us fading into insignificance. In that shared silence, I saw the vulnerability in her expression. She understood. "It's complicated," she replied, her voice laced with sincerity. "But sometimes the most complicated things can turn out to be the most beautiful." Her words resonated with me, wrapping around my heart like a gentle embrace. I felt the barriers between us begin to dissolve, and the magnetic pull urged me to bridge that final distance. I reached out, my fingers brushing against hers, a tentative yet deliberate gesture that spoke volumes. She didn't pull away. Instead, her fingers intertwined with mine, our hands fitting together perfectly. Time seemed to stand still, and in that moment, I knew we had crossed a threshold, stepping into a realm of deeper connection and uncharted territory. As twilight settled into the night, we stood there, hands gently intertwined, hearts racing in unison. The air was thick with unspoken possibilities and the shared understanding of what lay ahead. I felt a sense of clarity amidst the chaos in my head. Whatever challenges awaited us, this moment was worth exploring. "Maybe we should take this slow," Claire suggested, her voice steady yet soft. "I don't want to rush into anything that might complicate our lives." Her sincerity washed over me like a gentle wave, calming my racing heart. I nodded, grateful for her thoughtfulness. "I agree," I replied, my voice steady. "I want to get to know each other more, see where this takes us." From that night on, every gathering felt different. The air was charged with a new dynamic. Claire would sit closer to me, our hands often brushing against each other, lingering touches that fueled the growing warmth between us. Emily, too, sensed the change, her knowing glances filled with encouragement and support while never overstepping her boundaries. We embarked on this journey of discovery together, slowly peeling back the layers of our lives. Claire shared stories of her past, her struggles, her dreams, and the challenges of raising Jason alone. I revealed my own vulnerabilities, my fears of the future, and the weight of expectations that sometimes felt suffocating. As we explored our connection, our nights were filled with laughter, soft exchanges, and moments of deep emotional intimacy. I found myself drawn to Claire's wisdom, her nurturing spirit, and the quiet strength she exuded. In return, I offered her a glimpse into the hopeful optimism of youth, a fresh perspective that resonated with her. One warm evening, we found ourselves alone on the porch, the stars twinkling like tiny jewels in the sky. Claire turned to me, her eyes shining with sincerity. "I can't believe how far we've come in such a short time," she said, her voice thick with emotion. I smiled back, my heart swelling with affection. "Me too. I never expected this, but it feels right," I admitted, my honesty pouring out. I leaned closer, letting my hand brush against her cheek, the simple yet intimate gesture igniting a spark between us. In that moment, I could see the shift in her demeanor. The quiet vulnerability she had always carried now shone with newfound confidence. She leaned in, and our lips met in a gentle kiss, soft, tentative, yet overflowing with promise. It was a culmination of the emotions we had navigated together, a moment that bound us in a tapestry of shared experiences and evolving feelings. As we pulled away, our foreheads resting against each other, I knew we had crossed a threshold into something profound, a connection built on mutual respect and understanding. Whatever the future held, I felt ready to embrace it with Claire beside me, hand in hand, as we ventured into uncharted territories together. As summer faded into a gentle autumn, our connection blossomed into a beautiful relationship filled with laughter, warmth, and the support we had both been seeking. We navigated the complexities of our lives, each day uncovering new layers of each other's stories. Jason noticed the change in our dynamic, and though there were moments of awkwardness, he ultimately embraced our relationship with a protective fondness. "As long as you treat her right," he would say, his voice light-hearted yet sincere. I felt grateful for his understanding, realizing how rare it was to find such acceptance in a world often filled with judgment. Claire and I continued to explore the depths of our bond, sharing intimate conversations late into the night, wrapped in blankets under the stars. We ventured on small adventures, coffee dates at our favorite cafe, long walks in the park where we could escape the world's prying eyes, and quiet movie nights filled with tender moments. Each experience brought us closer, the warmth between us igniting a sense of belonging I had never felt before. On a particularly crisp evening, we found ourselves sitting on the porch, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves around us. Claire rested her head on my shoulder, her presence a soothing balm for my soul. As we sat in comfortable silence, I felt the weight of the world lift from my shoulders. It was in these moments that I realized how much she had changed my life, showing me the beauty of vulnerability and connection. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is real," she murmured, her voice soft and reflective. I looked down at her, my heart swelling with emotion. "It's very real," I replied, lightly brushing her hair back behind her ear, my fingers lingering for just a moment longer than necessary. "And I wouldn't trade it for anything." In the weeks that followed, we talked about the future, our dreams intertwining like vines. We acknowledged our age difference, but rather than see it as a barrier, we recognized it as part of the beautiful tapestry of our lives. I was learning from her resilience, while she was embracing my youthful optimism, and together we found a rhythm that felt harmonious. As autumn deepened, we celebrated small milestones, my birthday, a cozy Thanksgiving dinner where Claire's laughter echoed through the home, and simple moments of grace that filled our days. One chilly evening, as we sat wrapped in a blanket together by the fire, I took her hand in mine, the warmth of our connection igniting a fire within me. "Thank you for being you," I whispered, my eyes locked onto hers. Claire's smile illuminated the dim light of the room, filling the space with a sense of belonging. "And thank you for seeing me," she replied softly, her eyes shimmering with emotion. In that moment, I understood that our journey together was just beginning, a testament to the beauty of connection and the magic that unfolded when two souls dared to embrace the unexpected. We were crafting a story that would defy the ordinary, a romance that flourished in the unlikeliest of circumstances. If you enjoyed this slow-burn romance about unexpected connections and the beauty of vulnerability, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more heartfelt stories, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Who's your favorite character? What do you think will happen next? Let's dive into the conversation.